life is filled with challenges that we all face. Perhaps you're going through tough times right now. Remember, you're not alone in this. It's a normal part of the human experience. Let's break free from the illusion that life should only be about happiness and fun, creating a false reality for ourselves. At some point, we'll encounter situations that push us to our limits. The good news is that as human beings, we have the capacity to control our emotions to a certain extent, enabling us to face challenging situations with greater effectiveness and less suffering. However, mastering this ability isn't easy. Unfortunately, nobody teaches us how to manage our emotions correctly. That's why I'm here today, in this video, to talk about temperance, one of the 4 historical virtues. To illustrate its importance, let me share a story. Once upon a time, there was a wise king who commissioned a precious ring with a diamond from one of the finest craftsmen. He wanted to conceal a message within the ring, something that could provide guidance in his darkest moments. A message that would also serve as a source of solace for his heirs and their descendants. The challenge was to condense the message into just a few words that could fit on the ring's diamond. The king consulted the great sages and scholars of his court, individuals capable of writing profound treatises. However, finding a message that was both concise and meaningful enough to be inscribed on a small diamond proved to be incredibly difficult. Hours turned into days as they searched their philosophy books in vain. Fortunately, the king had a beloved servant, someone who had served his father and cared for him since his mother's passing. This servant was considered part of the family and highly respected by all. So, the king turned to him for counsel. Though not a wise sage or erudite scholar, this humble servant possessed the knowledge the king sought. He shared his story, recounting an encounter with a master during his long years of service in the palace. As the master departed, he bestowed upon the servant a tiny piece of paper containing the message the king desired. Without reading the message, the servant advised the king to keep it stored within the ring and only open it when all other options seemed lost. The moment arrived sooner than expected when the kingdom was invaded, and the king found himself fleeing for his life, pursued by numerous enemies. He reached a point where the path ended abruptly, with a perilous cliff and a deep valley before him. Falling would be fatal, and he couldn't turn back due to the enemy blocking his way. The sound of galloping horses and the voices of his pursuers grew closer. It was then that he remembered the ring, took out the paper, and unfolded it to reveal a tremendously valuable message for that critical moment: "This too shall pass." Suddenly, a profound silence enveloped him. The enemies chasing him must have gotten lost in the forest or taken the wrong path. The king no longer heard the galloping of horses. Deeply grateful to the servant and the anonymous master, he considered those words a miraculous intervention. He folded the paper, returned it to the ring, rallied his army, and ultimately reclaimed his kingdom. On the day of victory, the city celebrated with grand festivities of music and dance. The king felt an immense sense of pride. Once again, the elderly servant approached him, saying, "Dear king, it's time for you to read the message within the ring." Perplexed, the king asked, "What do you mean?" "I'm currently experiencing a situation of joy and elation. People celebrate my triumphant return, and we have defeated our enemies." The servant replied, "Listen closely. This message isn't solely for desperate situations, it's also for moments of pleasure. It applies not just when you feel defeated but also when you feel victorious. It's relevant not only when you're last but also when you're first." Intrigued, the king opened the ring and read the message once more: "This too shall pass." Instantly, he felt the same peace and silence amidst the crowd's jubilation and dancing. The pride and ego had vanished. The king fully understood the message: the bad is as transient as the good. At that moment, the servant reminded him of an essential truth: nothing is permanent, neither events nor emotions. Just as day turns into night, life consists of moments of joy and moments of sadness. We must accept them as part of the duality of nature, for they are the very essence of existence. One of the keys to mastering our emotions is to understand and remember that what we're feeling at any given moment won't last forever. Think about it. Do you know anyone who has experienced eternal happiness or someone who has never felt sadness? In both cases, those emotions are not permanent. Throughout life, good and bad things happen. When we go through a sad period, accepting and understanding that it will pass is crucial. Acceptance doesn't mean resignation, passivity, or agreement with the circumstances. It simply means acknowledging that many things that happen to us are beyond our control. Acceptance leads to proactivity, making us aware of what we can do or change in our situation. When we accept something, we become more capable of moving forward. Additionally, when we experience moments of happiness, it's okay to enjoy them, but in moderation. We shouldn't let ourselves be carried away by excessive euphoria, which may cause us to forget that those moments, too, shall pass. People who forget this reality are never prepared to face life's difficult situations. They live in a bubble that will eventually burst. So, appreciate the present moment but don't lose touch with the realities of life. Just as you endure hardship and challenging situations without being consumed by uncontrolled sadness, this is temperance. The story I share only addressed two emotions, joy and sadness. However, temperance applies to any emotion. No emotion becomes positive when taken to extremes. On the other hand, nearly any emotion managed with moderation can bring something positive. Even negative emotions, when controlled with temperance, can provide valuable lessons for our lives. In the words of Seneca, temperance is a virtue that involves mastering and moderating our impulses and desires, preventing them from leading us into excess or deficiency. Epictetus describes temperance as a pleasant harmony of feelings resulting from a life in which desires are controlled, and reason serves as our guide. According to Marcus Aurelius, temperance is the virtue that helps us govern and direct our passions and desires, avoiding extremes and maintaining a balanced, moderate life. Subscribe to our channel now and become part of a community focused on cultivating temperance in our lives. Don't forget to like this video and leave your thoughts in the comments below.